A new season is starting. We haven't been snowboarding for several months. Our snowboarding feel off. We feel unstable on the board. We feel uncomfortable on the board. Let's have a look at one of my first run of the season and check out on the apex of the turn what's wrong with my position, what I'm looking for on the video of me riding, so I know what to improve and what I need to focus on in my riding. This is how I analyze the video of my riding in order to know what to improve and what to do to get a better riding. We're gonna start looking at the hillside turn and the apex of the hillside turn. So exactly at the peak when the board is pointing straight down. This board is set up with a -12 at the back and a +12 angle at the front. The first thing I'm looking for on the snowboard, it's my position. I look at my skeleton. As we can see, my skeleton is actually very much pushed toward the front foot. And if we look at the center of my stance, I'm literally on my front foot. That is my center of mass. What I'm looking for though when I'm actually snowboarding, especially at this part of the turn, my center of mass probably would be somewhere here, but I'm looking at the range of this, really close to the center of my stance. Too much on the front foot right now, which means the back of my board, my heel edge right here, is not gripping. There's not enough force onto that side of the board for it to grip to do a nice clean turn. And as a result, as we can see, my track is extremely wide, and the more I go into the turn, the wider my track is going to be. So this is one of the first thing I look for in the apex of my turn, my skeleton. We can see also based on how it is, it was very bumpy. So I really need to absorb. It's moving quite a lot. That is a good thing. Okay, my legs are absorbing everything, and my upper body, if we look at my upper body, it's not being affected by all the bumps that we get. Only the legs are moving to absorb all the little bumps. Another thing I look for is where do I look actually when I ride. Okay, right now I'm kind of looking here, and if we want to do the turn, what I should be looking at is here, because this is where I want to go, and what I'm looking at, it looks like it's here. If I start changing my eyes, my head position to tell my brain that I want to go here, it will help a little bit to get more of that rounded turn to finish my turn. The exercise I use to improve my riding after analyzing this part of my turn is called the cowboy-knee. So the idea is to think that we have a horse or yoga ball between the legs, and that kind of force our knees to be going away from each other instead of the back knee tucking inside of my stance. This knee there, I need to think about pushing it more this way, especially with this stance. So my skeleton can be looking more centered on the stance. So this is my stance, and I could have, my center of mass somewhere around here. If I push a knee over to the back, which means back of my board will grip a lot more, and so the turn will have a much better shape, and the board will grip a lot more. If we look after a few days focusing on it, we can see that I'm much more centered on the board, and if we look at my line, the line is much cleaner, not as wide, and the board is moving a lot more toward its length. We'll do skeleton. I still have the back knee a little bit poking in, not as much though, so I'm kind of okay with that. I'm not pointing my upper body toward the nose so much. And if we look at the center of mass, it's still a tiny bit toward the front of the center of my stance. It does help a little bit more. It does allow me also to open up my hips and my shoulder a little bit more for my heel side turn, which does allow me to also look more where I want to end up in my turn. Just focusing on that back knee cowboy stance, so trying to push it back, does fix a little bit my bad habit of when I ride powder with a different stance and my back knee is always tucked in order to really help get more absorption with the board. If we look also at the track of the board, okay, we can see the track is a lot thinner, much thinner. This is the type of track I should be riding with, especially early season. Not yet going for the carving, but at least going for not too wide of a track, a bit more performance on the board. This is how I help myself beginning of the season to make sure I go back to a strong, solid foundation on my snowboarding. The rest of the season, it will be very easy for me to get back into a very strong and powerful riding. In my case, I was too much on the front foot, so the exercise I used on me to improve is the same that I use with my students. It's a cowboy knee. We try to push the knees away from each other in order to get center our body and center of mass closer to the center of our stance. getting a even weight to the whole edge of the board. Another important part is how do I start my turn? How do I finish a turn and start the next one? The transition will affect a lot what is going on in my turn. If you want to know how I analyze this part of my riding, there is a video that's gonna appear on the screen. It's probably above my face to actually see that.